What's up, y'all? It's Rhonda, and you're listening to the Social Therapy Podcast. Today, we talking about Eve's pregnancy announcement, the Dave Chappelle Netflix special, the NBA and NFL insurance scam, and Lizzo and Jonah Hill body image and self-confidence. Y'all want to hear this? Okay, it's good today. But before we go any further, you already know I got to give a shout out to my sponsor because they pay the bills over here. So, shout out to Sugar Pop Cafe, official retailer for Motivated Coffee. Okay, Motivated Coffee is a smooth, deep, robust coffee that's easy on the stomach with no aftertaste, and you don't even need cream and sugar because these are quality beans. Okay, so for the best coffee on the internet, you can find them at motivatedcoffee.com. Once again, that is motivatedcoffee.com. Okay, now let's go ahead and get into today's show. Today we are talking about Eve, the EVE pregnancy announcement. Okay, rapper and actress Eve announced on October 15th that at the age of 42, she is pregnant with her and her husband's first child, her husband Maximilian, whom she's been married to since 2014. Okay, she said, y'all know how long we've been waiting on this blessing. Okay, the baby is due February of 2022. She left the show The Talk back in November of 2020 to focus on growing her family. She has included her fans along the journey. Since then, she has discussed past struggles to conceive before her exit. This gives me hope. This really does. I mean, I'm 39, but sometimes I think like I wouldn't mind having another baby. I mean, I have a son. He's in college now and I love him dearly, but I've always wanted to have more kids. So I don't know. We never know. We'll see. But, anyways, congratulations to Eve and her family, and I wish you guys the best. Okay, now we're going into Netflix. Whoo, child, the drama. Okay, the closer is full of drama. Did y'all listen? Did y'all watch it? Did you listen to it? What did you think about it? Okay, that's what I want to know. Leave a comment and let me know what you thought about it, okay? Because it's very controversial. And basically, he did it to be controversial on purpose. I mean, it's Dave Chappelle. We know who we're dealing with, okay? Hence the name, The Closure, because he stated at the beginning of the show that this is going to be his last dinner for a while. Basically, it sounds like he's ready to retire. He got mad money. He didn't already know what it's like not to have to work and just live his best life and be free. He lives in some small little town in the middle of nowhere where he can just walk around and go to Walmart and nobody's bothering him. So he's ready to just be a regular guy. He said, though, he was going to ruffle some feathers, and boy, did he, okay? The whole show was big and bold. And despite the push to have the special taken down, Netflix has made it very clear by an official statement that they will not be taking this show down. And why would they? The more controversial the show, the more streams the show will get, which means the more money they make. And at the end of the day, this is a business, okay? They are about the money, not about feelings. They're about the money. And as long as some checks is coming through, that change is coming through, the bottom line is getting higher, they ain't taking that show down, okay? They not. And in my opinion, some of the jokes were a bit cringy, okay? But there was an underlying message, and you had to get the message. You probably had to listen to it a couple times. I mean, yeah, he was being rough, but if you listen to the storyline, you can get to where he was going, especially if you watched it all the way to the end. It all tied in together, okay? Dave is known for saying what a lot of people think, but would never admit And this is why people love and hate him. And let's be honest, that's what this form of art and comedy is and always has been. People laugh because they relate. And just like any other business, everyone is not your customer and everyone wasn't his target audience. He was okay with that. His show was for the people that could relate to it, not for the people who could not relate to it. I know he said that he was going to ruffle some feathers, and maybe that was his intent. Actually, he said it was his intent. But you know what? He had a bottom line message that he had to get through. Now, do I agree with the way he went about it? Nah. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm a Cancer. I'm very empathetic, and I don't like to hurt people's feelings. But everybody ain't like me, so I can't speak on him. Okay. So earlier in the week, we were hearing that there's a group of transgender Netflix employees that were staging to do a walkout on October 20th. Now, honestly, I think this is great. It is one of the many rights we have in this country. However, I believe it would be better received if the walkout was to resolve around all the transphobic content on the platform and not just one show. It's really giving me bandwagon vibes. I've personally seen over the years much worse content on Netflix when it comes to the LGBTQ plus community, and for them to pick and choose which ones they want to boycott. I mean, I'm just saying, one for all or all for none. Okay. But I ain't the one that gossip, but you ain't heard it from me. But you did hear this from me. New info as of this morning. Netflix has fired the organizer of the walkout. She is also being investigated for possibly being the one to leak confidential information about the closure special, such as how much Netflix paid Dave Chappelle for the closure, how many people have watched the show, which inevitably ended up on the Bloomberg report. I mean, that is suspicious, right? Hey, do the time. Do the crime, do the time. Every time, you know what? Whenever you do something that you ain't supposed to be doing, like you ain't supposed to be doing something, like you are making a conscious decision to go against the grain, you know in the back of your head, somewhere in the back of your subconscious, that it is a possibility that you might get caught. And then you know that if you get caught, there are consequences to be paid, as in losing your job or possibly being sued or whatever it is that the person that you have offended has done to you, okay? And that goes for everybody. That goes for this woman at Netflix who was rallying people around to do a boycott and walk out on the 20th, or even Dave Chappelle. I mean, he's already aware that he might get canceled for this show, and he is fine with it. And you know what? Before you do anything that you shouldn't be doing, you should be ready to accept the way things go either way, okay? And that takes me into my next topic, the NBA and NFL insurance scam. Now, I know this ain't new, okay? This has been out for at least a good week or so, whatever, but I wanted to talk about it. So, according to the newscast streamed on September 7th on Fox News, the U.S. Department of Justice announced that 18 former NBA and NFL players have been charged with a $4 million health care fraud case. Now, what? When I heard this, it blew me. It blew me, okay? Several players have already pled guilty. So, what happened? Well, apparently, the NBA and NFL, let me get this right now. Let me get this together. Make sure I got all my slides together. Okay. Okay. Now, apparently, the NBA and NFL have a fund called the Gene Ushaw NFL Player Health Reimbursement Account Plan that was established in 2006 that provides tax free reimbursement of medical expenses up to $350,000 per player for past and present players. Okay, so even if they are retired, they still qualify for this fund. And I think it's great that they have this because, playing sports is a very hard sport. It's hard on your body, okay? And a lot of athletes suffer continuous, injuries after the game is over, after their career is over. They've been broke something, sprained something, pulled something, overworked something, just something, okay? And for them to have a fund to completely reimburse them up to $350,000 for medical expenses, whether that be dental, eye, medical procedure, or whatever, I think that's great, okay? I really do. But apparently, Robert McCone seen it as an opportunity to make a little extra money on the side. So he created and provided fake invoices to the accused players and submitted them on their behalf in order to be reimbursed for procedures that never took place in exchange for a kickback. Now, McCone has pleaded guilty and is currently facing life in prison for conspiracy to commit wire fraud and healthcare fraud. Has faced, okay, 13 counts of healthcare fraud, 11 counts of wire fraud, 3 counts of identity theft, okay? Because apparently one of the players didn't want to give him his cut. So he impersonated an insurance employee, stating that the paperwork didn't go through and that they would be reporting him. It is speculated that he did this as a scare tactic to get the player to contact him for additional help, which will result in him getting his cut and additional kickback. This is why this bothers me, okay? Let me tell you why this whole story bothers me, okay? First of all, I know I don't speak for other millionaires out there. I ain't never been one, but I be having a little money sometime, you know? So let's be honest. According to the articles, these players were in the top 5 of their draft picks during their prime, which equals big money per game. I mean, we talking hundreds of thousands per game, millions a year. Some of the players are still playing, okay? They still getting big checks. There's one player that has said he was getting like 10 teeth worked on in California while he was in a whole nother country playing basketball overseas. So, yes, some of these players that are involved in this case are still active players. Now, what I want to know is why is it so hard to pass up on an opportunity for free money? And I say that loosely, okay? Especially when you got money. I mean, I understand if you ain't got money and you broke, but if you got money, why do this? Why do this, okay? Even if you've been mishandling your money, okay? If you have not been handling your money responsibly, I just do not see a scenario where it would be dire enough to risk your freedom for the rest of your natural life for money that you already have in the bank. These guys' sentences are ranging from 10 years to life. This is a federal case, y'all. This is not state, this is federal. I know they say the more money, more problems, but in the position they are in, they have opportunities that most of us do not have to bring in additional income that does not include scamming, does not put their life at risk, does not make them have to separate from their family and the people who depend on them for everything. Okay? And it's not even just depend on them for money, for people who depend on them just to be them and be in their life and fulfill the hole that's about to exist because they're gone. But I'll be honest with you, all this scamming stuff 80 years ago, they coming for you. Look at Bill Cosby. He done got out of jail and is now going back to court for a case that happened at the Playboy Mansion 40 years ago. And now another woman has come forward to report inexplicit behavior as well from back in like the 80s or something. I mean, they want every dollar that man got, as old as he is. And trust me, I ain't backing him up. I ain't got his back because I do not support abusers. I don't support it, okay? If you do anything to someone who does not want it or they are not capable of letting you know clearly, I'm not supporting that. I'm not. So Bill, it is what it is, okay? But anyway, I'm just saying, how did this even get out? And I'm not saying, I don't know if this is everybody that was involved, but altogether they said it's like 19. 18 have been like addressed with the situation, but they said it was like 19 altogether. How'd they catch all them people if somebody ain't snitch? I'm just saying. Snitches get stitches. Mm, mm, mm. Okay. So let's talk about Lizzo and Jonah Hill. Last week, Lizzo attended Cardi B's birthday party, and she arrived in a completely sheer, see-through crystal gown. Now, y'all, this gown was beautiful. I mean, it was nice. It's a pretty gown, and she got a lot of people had a lot to say about her dress. And you know what? She clapped back at the hater. And I'm all the way here for the body positivity. Okay. I'm here for self esteem. I'm here for the self love. I'm here for everything else that's associated with loving yourself and not caring about being judged. But personally, I wasn't offended by the dress. I wish I had the courage to wear one. But I would have opted for new underwear and pasties to cover my nips because that was just a little too much for me. Okay, but hey, it's her prerogative, and if she like it, I love it. It's her body, not mine. On the contrary, Jonah Hill recently took to Instagram asking for everyone not to make any comments on his body and whether they be positive or negative. And I was a little thrown off by this at first because, he a comedian. He funny, and he's hilarious to me. I love the type of comedy that he do. And he just so happened to make that announcement on the same day as Lizzo was getting all this attention for that dress that she wore at the Cardi B birthday party. But as I read more into it, I realized he wasn't joking. He was dead serious. And some people, such as Sharon Stone, felt she was exempt from his requests. And she took to Instagram to do exactly what he asked her not to do, asked her and everybody else not to do. Girl, you do not get to violate this man's boundaries just because you know him. This irks me because he respectfully set boundaries and they were trampled all over right in his face and everyone else's. In his post, he said, I know you mean well, but I kindly ask that you not comment on my body, good or bad. I want to politely let you know it's not helpful. It doesn't feel good. Much respect, verbatim, end quote. I just love him. He has the best energy. Luckily, though, his fans had his back and had quite a bit to say to her, such as, Sharon, read the room. He literally just said, no, Sharon Stone, sheesh. Would you be, it would be amazing if you could delete this comment and learn how to read. Then she's going to come back talking about her own body image issues. This ain't about you. Okay? This is not about you. This is about him and his requests, and leave him alone, basically. He's been very open about his body image issues over the years, and honestly, it's a privilege that he has even given us that much of his personal life. It's not really our business. But nonetheless, if he let us in his personal space, give him the respect and support to respect his boundaries. Matter of fact, do this for the people you know too in your personal life. People are dealing with their own personal struggles every day. They let you in on it. Don't violate their boundaries and their trust. There is nothing worse than having someone do that to you. You open up to somebody, you think you can trust them or whatever, or you've been, I mean, he opened up to people. You open up to people, you let them in, you give them a little step into your pool or whatever, and then they violate you. It's not cool. It's not cool. And then you turn around and make it about you. It's not cool. Okay? Leave them alone. Jeez, that brings me right into my next topic though, self confidence. So as we get older, we start to find our voice, right? And some people don't have to find their voice. They start out that way. They grow up in an environment where everybody speak up for themselves and they're encouraged to have their voice and speak up for themselves at a very young age. So they mature in that element as they get older. But that's not the case for all of us. So either way, though, your experiences teach you that as you mature, you start to see and perceive situations differently. And you start to understand people's motives. You respond with your own interests in mind. And you learn that someone else's opinion of you is not your business. Because they don't doing nothing for you. Even if they is paying your bills, it still ain't your business, okay? It's a reflection of how they feel about themselves. And when you believe that you can accomplish anything, no matter the odds or the obstacles, then you have grown into your self confidence. Okay? Confidence It's not something that everyone naturally has, but you can train yourself. You can train yourself by the simple act of repetition. Okay. So I'm gonna give you a couple of pointers on how to build your self confidence, and I am personally doing this myself, and it has really helped me grow in my self image and how I feel about me. Okay, because self esteem about me affects everything around me, everything that I do, and whether or not I accomplish my goals or anything. Because if I don't believe in myself, but if I don't really believe I can do it, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna be good at it. So here's what you do. Okay, and a lot of this stuff I'm sure you've heard before, but I just want to reiterate it for those who need to be reminded, or you just maybe ain't heard it. I don't know. So first of all, invest 10,000 hours into anything you want to do to become an expert. 10,000 hours, whether it takes you 6 months, not even that many hours in 6 months, but whether it takes you a year, 5 years, 10 years, however long, invest 10,000 hours into anything and you will be an expert in that thing. And what that does is it builds your confidence and your ability to dominate that area of your life. And in the process of being confident in your ability of something you spent 10,000 hours perfecting, you develop yourself, okay? Building self confidence requires you to develop yourself, okay? If you make it past the first fail, the second fail, the 10th fail, you can grow into the person that you know you want to be. And like I said in my last episode, there is nothing out there. There's no scroll in the bottom of a pit, locked behind a big door in a vault that has your name written on that says, you cannot have this. You cannot be this. You are not allowed to be this kind of person. There's nothing in written anywhere with your name on it. You can change your circumstance at any time. You just got to make the hard decisions, which are most of the time, 9.5 times out of 10, are uncomfortable. Persistence is a necessity. Do not give up. Push past everything. If you really want it, prove it to yourself. And not only this, but you got to talk positive to yourself, okay? In your inner and outer voice. Whenever you find yourself engaging in negative self-talk, cancel it out with a positive statement, okay? First of all, when you find yourself saying something negative to yourself, like, oh, this always happens to me, oh, I don't deserve this, why me, woe is me, whatever, cut it off. Just cut yourself off. Like, when you're talking to somebody who ain't really listening to you and they can't wait to jump in the conversation, then they cut you off so they can hurry up and say what they got to say. Be that person to yourself. Okay? Cut you off and then say something positive to combat that negative thought. And then the more you start to do it, the more it will become a habit and you'll start having more positive self talk and less negative self talk. Okay? Because at the end of the day, our thoughts influence our actions. And if you are constantly having negative thoughts, you're going to not be action oriented into the positive space that you're trying to move into, and you will attract negativity in your space, in your life. Things just won't go your way, regardless of what kind of person that you are. There are enough people being negative to you, whether you know it or not, behind your back and in your face. Don't be one of those people. Because who else is going to tell you how great you are? Who else even knows you that well? And if you're waiting on someone else to tell you genuinely how great you are, you might be waiting for a while because no one means it like you do. Because if you don't say it and if you don't believe it, no one else will. How can you truly expect someone to really believe that you're so great or you are so capable or your skills are so skillful or you're the expert that you are if you don't even believe it? You're giving off fake vibes. You're giving off fake guru. You're giving off fake guru vibe. You're giving off imposter vibes if you don't really believe in yourself. Lizzo believes in herself, okay? She knew before she even put that dress on when she first seen it and decided to wear it with no bra and no panties. She knew she would get backlash for her gown, and she decided to bend over and twerk in front of the cameras because that's how confident she feels about herself. And regardless of how anyone else felt about her, she did it anyway. She wore it anyway. And that's why I love her for it. Body positivity comes in so many forms. When I was growing up in the 90s, right? I was born in the 80s, but the 90s was my adolescent years. That's when I was paying attention to the magazines and the TV shows and stuff, right? You never, ever seen anybody over a size, I'm going to be generous here, 6, in a magazine, in a TV show, in a music video, walking down a runway stage, modeling anything. You never seen anybody with hips or thighs or a stomach or cheeks, both of them. You never seen that. And I'm not saying that it's not going on now, but back then there was a lot of um, anorexia and bulimia cases that were more prevalent because the only body images that we seen that were advertised to us were those type of images. And some people are just not genetically created to have that body type. And then you would be bullied and you'd be talked about by everyone, whether it be people at school or at work or even your own family making comments, oh, she's big boned, you know, or, stuff like that. And people still try to say little stuff now, but I feel like people like Lizzo and, the plus size models and everything like that is giving us better body image issues and letting us realize just how beautiful that we are. Right now, as we see, Jonah is currently working on his body image issues and his confidence, and we need to support him. We need to respect his boundaries because this is not an easy road, okay? I've personally had body image issues for years. At first, I was too skinny, like I was literally a size 2, and people were always commenting on my weight, saying I looked unhealthy and all that kind of stuff because of how small I was, but it's genetic. Then, after I had my son, I gained weight and it stuck to me, right? Then, people were still commenting on my weight, saying I need to lose weight. I didn't gain too much. I'm fat, right? I went through a lot of mental anguish trying to get to a weight where people would just leave me alone because I never asked for anyone's opinion. I never asked for anyone's attention. I used to wear, when I was in high school, I used to wear jeans all year round, even in the summer. I'm talking about like living in Bakersfield, California, basically the desert, okay? In the summer, it would be like 100+ degrees in the shade. And I was still walking around with jeans on, baggy jeans on, because I didn't want nobody to see my body, because I didn't want nobody to comment on my body. And I didn't want anyone to comment on it because it was never positive. It was always something negative. Now, looking back at the people that were commenting on me, I can see why they was commenting on me, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, regardless of how they felt about themselves, that didn't give them the right to try to make me feel bad about myself just because you feeling some kind of way about yourself. And I do not like people who, when they're going through something, they got to bring everybody down with them, like misery, love, company, or whatever. It's a choice. Just because you having a bad day don't mean that you get to go approach somebody and make them have a bad day. Or something happened to you, so now you're going to go to somebody and make them your emotional punching bag. You don't have the right to ruin someone else's day or ruin someone else's life or make somebody feel insecure about themselves because of how you feel about yourself. You need to do the work on yourself and stop projecting that out into the world. Do the work. Build your self-confidence. Stop trying to ruin other people so you could feel better about yourself. If you have to try to bring somebody else down and ruin somebody else to feel better about yourself, you are not a good person. And those be the main people who are constantly repeating to you and everybody else, I'm a good person. I'm a great person. I'm a good person. If you have to constantly tell people that you are a good person, you are not a good person and you know it. You are trying to convince yourself and everybody else around you that you are, because you know that you are not, and you do things that are not, and that your actions do not line up with a person who is a good person. A good person ain't got to tell nobody that they are, because everybody just already know. But anyways, getting back on the topic, right? Like I said, I never asked for anybody's opinion about me, about my body, or how I look, right? So now I'm at a size that I'm okay with. I got a belly, but I'm good with it, right? So now, with the weight that I'm at now, I deal with a lot of objectifying now, right? Like heavily. Like everywhere I go, somebody is either eyeballing me in a way that they shouldn't, or approaching me and saying things that they should not say. It is not like I dress provocatively, because I don't. I literally do not dress provocative. If you know me, you know I don't, right? But regardless of all that, I don't let it get to me. I had to learn to love myself and not let the opinions of other people cause me to go into a dark place. And I really don't care what anyone else has to say, because I'm good with my body. And at the end of the day, whether someone wants to make comments about my hips or my ass or whatever they want to say, or make me feel some kind of way, or let me know what they want to do in my DMs, but you will never say it to my face, I don't care. Okay. Anyways, um, you have to get away from people that tear you down. And regardless of the relationship that you have with these people, if they really for you, this is not how they show it. If you ever find yourself not feeling good about who you are, one thing that you can do is you can write a letter to yourself and then pull it out and read it when you need it. Or get one of those rubber bracelets with affirmations on them, and that you can wear, and you can look at them when you need to, or snap your wrist with it to put yourself back in check. And lastly, I just want to say this. If you are a parent, speak life into your children, okay? You made them. You created them. They are a reflection of you, like they literally have your DNA in them. Don't just point out the unsatisfactory things that they do. Point out the good stuff too. Balance it out. Say thank you to them. Apologize when you're wrong. Let them know that their voice is heard, and that you are listening to them. Our children are little humans who are developing their self-image, how they feel about themselves. And it's our job to help cultivate that energy. As a parent, it can be hard if you weren't raised with that type of energy. But you don't have to raise your kids the way your parents and your grandparents raised you and your parents, right? Start consciously making an effort to build your kids' self esteem while you're building that discipline in them. Help them become healthy adults, or at least healthier adults mentally. Because this goes into adulthood. This is so that your child does not grow up seeking the approval of others, seeking, affirmations from other people, to the point where they end up in undesirable situations, or they become the abuser because they never received enough love or enough affection, you know, and now they're withholding it, or they don't know how to receive it from other people. This is why most adults need therapists now to this day. And thank you for listening to my TED Talk. Okay, y'all, that's it. That's it for today's episode. I hope this was helpful. I hope you got something from it. And if you know anybody that this could help, or that would be interested in listening to this episode, please share this episode with someone that you know. Make sure you follow us here on your favorite platform, wherever you're listening to us to. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. The channel, the podcast is on YouTube now. Make sure you follow us on YouTube, okay? And if you guys have any comments or questions, feel free to email us or leave a comment below and we'll get back with you, okay? And until next week, peace.